Welcome back to the Butler Beat. I'm Bryn Erdy. This year's SGA presidential election is fast approaching, which means campaigning is in full swing. There are 4 candidates for SGA president. Joining me today are 2 of them, sophomores Katie Palmer and Mike Keller. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
I'm doing wonderful.
So first, tell us, why are you running for president?
Well, it was a tough decision to make initially, but I really love Butler, and all the experiences I've had here have been so great. And I've been involved in SGA since I came, so I really felt that I could continue to make sure that the Butler experience was great for everyone.
Great. And Mike, how about you?
Well, much like Katie, I've, since my first semester, been involved in the SGA, and I've really loved it. And I just love Butler also as a school. But I see there's a lot more potential here than what we live up to, and so I really kind of thought I should take it upon myself to try to push us in the right direction. So that's why I'm running.
Great. What characteristics do you possess, Katie, that make you a winning candidate?
Well, I've been involved in a variety of different clubs and organizations on campus, ranging from student government to being in the marching band to being an RA this year. And I've really been able to interact with all different types of students and realize the problems that are facing our student body. So I think I'm pretty knowledgeable on what's really going on campus. I've had a lot of different leadership experiences in the past, and I think I'm pretty motivated to make sure that Butler remains to be a great place.
And Mike?
I think a good SGA president has to be able to communicate well the message of the student body, especially to different areas of our students on campus, the variety of different beliefs and ideas. It also takes a hard worker, and I think that's a quality I possess because the responsibility is on your shoulders to make sure everything works the way it does, and that takes quite a bit of work to do.
So kind of moving on to involvement, what are you involved with here on campus?
Well, some of the things I'm currently involved in are the Council on Presidential Affairs. I'm the Academic Affairs Committee Coordinator. I am also the SGA representative for that. I'm an RA in Schweitzer Hall. I'm a member of Pi Beta Phi sorority. I'm an RA in Schweitzer, and I'm the secretary of the College Republicans.
As far as SGA goes, I'm a SGA Assembly representative for the Pre-Health Society. I also serve on the Finance Executive Board, and specifically I'm the Grants Committee Chairman, so I run the meetings where we award grants to different student organizations. Outside of SGA, I also am a class officer, class treasurer, and then I'm a member of Delta Tau Delta fraternity. And I also participate in a few other community service organizations, and I'm also a very proud member of the Dog Pound.
So it seems clearly that you both are heavily involved. So how are you planning on balancing your current duties with a potential presidential duty as well?
Well, it's definitely finding a balance. And obviously, if I were to be elected, then some things would have to kind of get put on the back burner. I do a pretty good job with my time right now, being involved in a variety of different things, but obviously it's a very important position that I would take very seriously.
And Mike?
Yeah, when they talk about time management, they always say that you have to, assign your priorities. And obviously the job of student body president should be everybody's top priority if that's your job. So it really, I would just have to look at my own schedule and move things around to make sure that I could do the job as well as I possibly could.
So Katie, when reading your platform, it states, as president, I would dedicate myself to constantly improving our Butler experience. How are you planning on doing that, and what exactly are you planning on doing?
Well, one of my platform points is an ongoing campaign called #ImproveButlerU, so running on Twitter and Facebook. I got the idea from CPA, where we have our monthly coffee chats where students can come in and take a survey about problems on campus. But this would basically be a way for SGA to monitor problems that are happening every day on campus. So if someone's going to work and they see there's a stoplight out, they could say, tweet at SGA Butler U, there's a problem on 44th, #ImproveButlerU, and we can work to fix it.
Great. So like you said, the biggest area of your focus as president would be to improve overall unity and organizational cohesiveness. Can you explain where you see some of those weaknesses in your plans for change?
Well, I think there's a lot of different things happening on Butler's campus, which is great. But at the same time, not everyone knows about what's happening. And I mean, we can have all the posters and all the Twitter feeds that, we can have, and some people still won't know about it. So just increasing awareness of different organizations on campus, whether it's word of mouth or through chalking. But one of the ideas that I had was working to create another campus-wide organization or event where instead of partnering Greek houses together or independent students together, you partner different organizations together. For example, you could have a fundraiser where you pair the dog pound with Best Buddies. So it's really getting students to interact with people that they see on campus every day but don't have a chance to talk to.
So Mike, you explained 5 specific things that you want to focus on within your platform. Can you tell us a little bit about those and how you are planning on implementing them?
My platform actually has about 12 points to it. Just for size restrictions, I was only able to submit 5 of them to the thing. But they were the 5 I would say most important to me. One of them is really restructuring class government. As a class officer, I really see a need there to have some improvements made. Katie can also agree because we both serve as class officers this year, and it's tough. It's tough to be able to plan events that the whole class will be able to attend. It's tough when you are basically almost reinventing the wheel every year because you have nothing to go off of from the year before. So I propose taking class officers and allow them to attend the SGA exec retreat over the summer. That'll sort of give them a organizational head start, get some ideas on paper, and that way they can hit the ground running when they come to school in the fall. I also want to change the role of the class vice president to include responsibilities of documenting all the projects they put on every year into a portfolio that's going to go and get passed on to the next year's class officers so that they'll have something to work off of and see, did this work, did this not work, things like that. And then also just as far as the rest of the platform goes, I sort of just looked at all of SGA as a whole, how it operates now. I had sit-down interviews with about all of the vice presidents, asked them where changes could be made, things could be done to improve things. And so I've suggested little tweaks to every different board of SGA. Specifically for my own finance board, I believe it would be beneficial for this campus if we have a new student organization grant. Publicly we say we're all for creating these new student organizations. We encourage students to do it, but we don't provide a lot of support for them when they do. And a lot of them, as a result, don't tend to survive to the next year. I think if we could provide a small but helpful grant to these new student organizations, we'll see them be more successful. They'll have money to operate off of to be able to get some new members and some recruitment. And then just another final point that I really am excited about is I really think we could enhance our use of technology as an SGA. I hear that our IT department here at Butler is in the process of maybe developing a Butler app. I really think it should be SGA's responsibility to partner with them as much as we possibly can to see that happen as fast, because I think there's a lot of potential with that. This is very much a smartphone campus. You see people with iPhones all over the place. With an app, you could have an interactive calendar. You can more effectively publicize the events that we're doing. Really, it's just limitless potential, and I think it's something we really need to get on board with.
So, kind of looking at your platforms, I noticed that you stated you want to rework the PR board, and you said you want to revamp the PR board. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about what your plans are for that and how you're going to really make a change?
Sure. Well, PR board recently underwent some new renovations, I guess you could call it. And I think that we can continue to improve upon the ones that they've already made by making sure that we have a representative of program board that's dedicated to working with each one of the specific executive branches of SGA. So one that's dedicated to CPA, one that's dedicated to operations, to make sure that we're communicating messages from the boards to the branch, and then from the branch to the entire assembly. So making sure that we have people who are understanding and communicating what we want to do.
And Mike?
For a PR board, I think it is best. I mentioned earlier about trying to utilize more technology as an organization. I think that would mostly fall on PR board to make sure that's implemented. I think Butler SGA should have its own independent website. I put that as part of one of my platform points. I think what we have right now, where we sort of have our own little sub-page off of the butler.edu website, it's just not doing the job like we want it to. So with our own independent website, that would be ran completely from the PR board, but you'll need more people to be able to do that. It's a little bit more of a job than what we have now. Also, as Katie had said, I agree completely, where you have somebody on PR board sort of partnered with all the other boards as well to be able to kind of bump up their publicity for their events and things like that. Overall, I think the board should be a little bit larger and they should have their individual roles just defined a bit better, so it'll work a little better.
Great. So why you guys have a lot of great points and a lot of things that could, I mean, as sophomores being juniors next year, you have so much potential to change things. You mentioned a lot of great points. So how do you plan on kind of gathering everyone to really actually push for those changes?
I mean, it's definitely going to be a tough job, but making sure that everyone going into next year is on the same mindset of, making sure that as Butler students, we show how proud we are of our school and of our fellow students, and really motivating ourselves to work towards that goal of improving Butler. So definitely keeping track of weekly meetings, constantly meeting with different clubs and organizations, and kind of just being a growing and evolving candidate where you don't only constrain yourself to the platform points that you went in with, and allowing yourself to kind of morph to different ideas if they come up.
Brent, I think the most important thing to be able to lead the SGA is to make sure you have a good team with you, particularly in the exec board. So basically, as soon as you're elected SGA president, I think your next biggest job is to try to recruit the best student leaders on campus to run for those executive board positions, because it's easy to be able to implement these changes when you have a strong team behind you. And the platform that I presented, it's more of just a vision of sort of where I'd like to see us go. I know that other people around me are going to have even better ideas and maybe things to tweak it with. So that's why you need that great cohesive unit to be able to work and put together the best plan possible. And if it really is a good plan where it has a lot of solid points, then it's going to be a pretty easy sell to the rest of the school student body.
You can vote for your future SGA president on Monday, February 27th. Thank you for being with us today on the Butler Beat. I'm Bryn Erdy.